It's fine. Okay, folks, here we are once again at the annual Southeastern Mars Conference, and that is spelled capital M, capital A, capital R, capital S. Um, um, First thing I'd like to mention is Alfred Limbermott and Weber has written a really awesome book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse. And I think this is a book that really should be read by all. How does it pertain to Mars? Well, it it has a lot of data that points to the fact that we live um, in a world, if you will that contains life throughout. And Alfred has done an excellent job of bringing this information forward in this book. And I think this book really should be read by all. So if you want to learn more about what really life is all about in the Omniverse, then please check it out. It's well worth the read. Okay, so anyway, we're here with Ross Curley, Chief Photo Analyst of Mars Anomaly Research Society, and a photo analyst herself, Patricia Bullock-Williams, here for the third. I guess it's actually has become a mini conference. You know, hopefully down the road we'll make it larger. It has been us three throughout, and we've enjoyed it a lot, immensely. We've gotten to know each other a lot, and we've gotten to understand the mechanics of the research that we're doing. So I'd like to present a question to both Ross and Patricia regarding where they believe that we are with the exposure of this truth that Mars is inhabited. So, Ross, let's start with you. How do you view where we are now? I mean, do you think that more people are coming aboard as far as understanding that Mars is inhabited? I mean, do you think that perhaps more has to come out, or better imaging has to come out? So kind of in general, what are your thoughts on where we've been, where we are now, and where we have to go?
Well, from when I first started doing this about 5 years ago, there weren't that many people out here. Now, I believe on Mars Anomaly Research Society, we have over 5,000 or
No,
10,000?
it's almost 10,000 people.
Almost 10,000
Almost
members.
10,000
10,000.
people on board that believe that there's life on Mars, structure on Mars, compared to last year. And then I also have a group called Mars Research. These are all on Facebook, by the way. And we have not a whole lot. We got almost 200 members on that one there, but they're from people from all over the world. So NASA is starting to come out with more revelations that yes, there's water on Mars. So if there's water on Mars, there has to be life on Mars. Okay, I'm getting a brain freeze here, so.
Do you think that that the general population is becoming more in tune, so to speak, or understanding that Mars is inhabited, or do you think it's still you know, a lot of people out there denying it, you know, and which we call raucous, as you. I mean, where do you think we are with that?
I
right
think
now?
I talk Mars to anybody that I corner at the grocery store, or if I corner at a park, or in a gas station, or in a rest area when I'm on the road. And I say, I mention Mars, I say, do you know there's life on Mars? No. 9 out of 10 people don't have a clue or even think about life on other planets. And I still feel that we have a long way to go to prove it to the world.
Do you think we're making progress? I mean,
I think we're making progress along the way, but it's still, there's a lot of people that don't really care about life on other planets.
How do you think that we are actually making that progress? And folks, this is Al, known as Big Al. He's our Marima. I guess he wants to get into the action. So anyway.
Yes, he's from Mars.
So, what do you think in those respects? Do you think?
I think if we could get out to the mainstream media with Mars research, that a lot more people will be cognizant about there being life on other planets. It's just that they don't want to touch it.
Well, how about, for instance, Andrew D. Bishago, who is the president of Mars? He has been on actually what you would call mainstream media. I mean, he's been on the Jesse Ventura show, Conspiracy Theory. He's also been on Coast to Coast a number of times, which, if I remember correctly, has a 30 million listener audience. So, I mean, that is kind of mainstream. So, when you say mainstream, what are you really talking about?
I'm talking CNN, ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, WGN News.
So you think that will bring more people, basically bring the masses into understanding that Mars is inhabited?
Correct.
Okay.
But the couple of things that have been on, they show a real bitty thing about that big that you can't make out what it is. I show a complete structure, and I don't get any airtime at all. But something that you can't see, they'll show. Something that's quite obvious, they won't show. They won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I believe that, I won't go there.
So what you're saying, what you think, as far as where we have to go, is to bring it really to the masses in that form, in the form of getting it through to the masses and from the mainstream media. Again, CNN, Headline News, MSNBC, those kind of
Correct.
stations. Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Okay.
The average person doesn't believe in UFOs either. And, we know that there's life on Mars, there's life on the moon, there's life on Earth. Hello.
Yes.
What's wrong?
Yeah, I understand. I think I've come across the same situation as far as asking people if they believe there's life on Mars, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" So you think that as far as where we've come from and the work we have done to try to get the information out there, do you think we've done a pretty decent job of doing that? Or?
We're doing our damnedest, our hardest, and although I slacked off the last year, but I've been sick a while,
so we got to keep on keeping on.
We got to keep on trucking on and just keep on pressing and keep on showing. And I just gave you guys 800 photos from my 2009 experiences viewing Mars. There's a lot to see.
Yes, and let me tell you something, folks. These images that Ross has given us, they're going to take a lot of time to look at Some of them I'm familiar with because, Ross and I have shared a lot regarding this. So, uh, where do you think we should go besides mainstream media? Do you think there's anything else that we can do to bring this fact that Mars is inhabited to the general population? Think there's anything else we can do?
Other than do a movie or a documentary that maybe Discovery Channel might be interested in viewing, but they're excuse my French, but they're cowards too. So they don't want the truth. They don't even want to show you part of the truth. So it's really hard to say.
Yeah,
I'm not afraid to say
I'm gonna
that.
have to disagree with a lot of this. So.
I'm gonna-
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
I-
fine.
I'm just gonna have to say that
Yeah.
that nobody wants to touch it. Nobody wants to see the real deal. And until the real deal comes out, we're kind of just coasting along.
Well, there seems to be also what I'm getting from you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's kind of a certain level of frustration because you put all this work, hard effort into trying to expose the truth regarding Mars, and you've had some of your work actually plagiarized, and it becomes very frustrating that you're not credited with the discoveries that you have made. So I understand what you're getting at. Okay, well,
I have a lot of frustration toward people taking my work and not giving me the credit for it. Just saying this. I found this somewhere on the internet. Yes, you found it at Ross Curley's Facebook site.
sure,
Ah, yeah.
What can I say?
yeah.
And then it's very frustrating.
Yeah, and I agree that credit should be given where credit is due. So, well, thanks a lot, Ross. Patricia,
Yes.
you've kind of listened to all the questions here. What are your general thoughts? Again, where we've been, have we done a good job in the past, and what we're doing now, and then what do you think again that the future should be? What do you think we should do next?
Well, last year we were talking about how there just seemed like no space explorations were on the table for Mars except Elon Musk in private commercialization. Mars is one of the main priorities NASA has announced. They are pushing it partly probably because India is on their way to Mars right now. China is on their way to Mars. I mean, not physically on their way to Mars, but they're doing their new programs.
Mm-hmm.
They are using commercialization for possibly for commercial crews with other, Elon Musk or these other people who are using their stuff with SpaceX. Last year we were just pondering about how they finally said water. We were like, oh, thank God they finally have announced what we've known for years about the water, and that
On
it was
Mars.
on
Yes.
Mars.
Yes.
But now they are saying, they're very much thinking that they're saying it has an atmosphere. They're finally kind of acknowledging the clouds and the atmosphere, and that we can work on Mars. We can return back to Mars and back and forth. There's so many different ways to get there. They're trying so many. They're doing space, almost like the typical UFO thing. And then I was telling you today about the ion propulsion thing that was only going to take 4 months to get to Mars, and it's school children who have helped fund this program. 4 months to send their artifacts, like a time capsule. So just on the traditional side, I think it's becoming much more aware. And the fact that besides Mars, they're looking at Europa for water, and all these Goldilocks planets that they're finding out there. I think it's becoming, so in my experience, what I'm finding, more people are aware that we probably are not alone in the universe. Ancient Aliens, Prometheus Entertainment, has done, I think, an incredible job with showing a lot of that information about the past or the future, and where things have gone. But you know, yeah, we still have a long ways to go on. But I think a lot of scientists now are admitting that there's past civilizations on Mars. Now, how many are saying there's people there now? You know, colonizations, Martians, people from, you know, from other areas, or military, which I firmly believe in a military complex up there. Um,
Well, excuse me, but
mhm.
before we get too far away from it,
Yeah.
Elon Musk,
Uh-huh.
I think he's the Mars one.
Yes.
Okay.
No, he's not Mars One.
Is he?
He's SpaceX.
Okay.
Mars One is those people that I don't get to think come back.
Okay.
You
Well,
know, the
those
one,
things
and
kind of
yeah,
get
yeah.
meshed together to
There's
me.
a
But
lot
anyway,
of different ones. Yeah.
what do you think is really going on there? Do you think he knows about what's going on and is part of a disinformation ploy, or does he really not know and is genuine is in his endeavor
I think.
to colonize Mars? I mean, do you
Yeah.
think that he really believes that he is original in his thinking and want and desire to make this happen?
His, from what I remember him saying, is that his thing is that we need to colonize Mars because of our own population. You know, I mean, he's very much into that. We need to go there because we don't know what's going to happen here. You know, I mean, he's very much into that. He's also the Tesla Motors, who a
Right.
friend of mine just got a Tesla. That and they have figured it out that they're getting basically 3 cents to what we would have called a gallon of gas. It's costing 3 cents to do, and the fact that they've just released all the Tesla information and put it out in public domain can change everything in our world.
Okay, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm understanding what you're saying, but as far as his knowledge about life on Mars, do you think he is aware of it?
He might be. That might be why he
And
is
well,
pushing
so,
it.
so,
Yeah.
so what do you think about the it making sense that he's doing what he's doing? If he in fact is aware that there's life on Mars,
Mhm.
you know, and perhaps that he's aware that we have been on Mars for decades.
Mhm.
And why would he do what he's doing if he's aware of it? You know, I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me is that it's a disinformation ploy, unless he truly does not know. So,
He
what are your
might not.
thoughts on that?
He might not know. He might not be familiar with this part. But for him to have invested what he has in these alternative fuel sources and other things like that, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Okay.
And then also about the being on CNN. Recently, a bunch of astrophysicists or astronomers went on CNN and announced they had a forum and talked about life on other planets and, you know, UFOs, and that they all were for it, you know, that they had seen it themselves. And so it's there, you know, you might not catch it all the time, but you know, people I come across, they don't look at me quite as strange as they did 5 years ago, you know.
So, you think we've made some headway
Yeah.
in getting the general population to understand that Mars is inhabited? I mean,
Well, at least I think most of them realize there's water on Mars, and like you were saying, if there's water, you know, good chance.
do
You know,
you really think that most believe that there's water on Mars?
if they watch their television, if they are
Yeah.
anywhere of some kind of intellectual thing to actually listen to what NASA, I mean, it's not just us saying it. If we were here 4 years ago, it would just be us talking about water on Mars. And now it's, you know, pretty well known that there's an extreme amount of water.
Okay, when
these
you're
other
when you're
areas.
saying water on Mars, what do you think? You think that are you talking underground water, surface water, ice?
All of it, yeah, ice.
All of it?
Yeah.
All of the above?
Yeah,
Okay.
And remember when it used to be methane? That was the big deal. You know, oh, they found methane. You know, and we're just all shaking our heads like, oh my God, they're so far behind. You know what? When are they going to tell more and more? So, you know, it's
What do you think about them coming out with? Now I go to space.com quite often and comment on their threads relating to Mars, and there's so much talk back and forth about. By the way, folks, sorry we're outside and there are bugs here, and we got to swat them, so or at least get them away from us. Um, uh,
Don't irritate the bees.
now that made me lose my whole train of thought.
your own SpaceX.
At any rate, oh yeah,
I mean,
they're
space.com.
talking about microbial life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and to me it seems ridiculous when we know that Mars is inhabited. So in my mind, it has to be either one of two things. Well, they either know and they're covering it up,
Yeah.
or they just don't know that the mainstream science data is what they believe in and what it's like their Bible on what's really going on.
Yeah.
You know, so do you agree with that? I mean, do you think
Yeah.
that's going
Well,
on?
that's like the whole thing with the water. You know, it took them forever to, finally they found a little bit of water, and then now it's they're always behind. I think on how they maybe it's the way they have to do the scientific reasoning and the pursuit, or they're spoon feeding us for those populations that are scared and
It comes down to that NASA has lied so long, they're just trying to save face, and eventually they'll say yes, there's life on Mars after they send their more of their rovers to Mars or their colonies to Mars, and then they'll say, oh yeah, we found life on Mars.
Yeah, you know though, my thoughts on that is
Kansas
that
cowards.
is that yes, there's this huge lie that is going on, and I don't believe they will be able to save face. You know, except that they would excuse it because, well, it's secret. You know, because here they are hiding the truth from the world, and taking a stance where you can't handle the truth, which is really bull. You know, because if you look at everything that Andrew DiPasciago has exposed to us, and William Stillings and Bernard Mendez, Michael Relf, you know, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower. I mean, they have told us what's really going on, you know, and we ourselves as photo analysts have not only backed up what they have said, but we've proven to ourselves that Mars is inhabited because of what we have seen,
Yeah.
you know, and we're fortunate enough to have a high visual perception quotient and are able to see what is there, where I find that many discount everything that there's they look at these images. I've shown very close friends and family my finds, and they see rocks, which is and it's hard to believe for me that they can't see what is right in front of their face, you know, but they're kind of blinded by the light, you know, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go to the next step, Pat, and tell me what you think we should do. What should we do in the future? What should be the next step or steps?
Well, going back to Facebook and things like that, I have spent a lot of this year working on another project of that involved time travel, Um, but working with that, I realized the amount of trolls and people that are actually paid on the internet to put out disinformation and to stop threads, you know, from going any further. People, you know, they'll say that right thing to just stop a thread, and they're actually paid, and they're actually there to to say it's just a rock, and they'll, you know, keep banging literally rocks together to keep other people from seeing it. So I've this last year working on that project really has opened my eyes to how people thwart and, like, you know, taking Ross's work and doing things of that nature just to really kind of throw a monkey wrench into the whole part. So, and I think that's part of the thing with the different groups. You know, you gotta be vigilant, and you know, you being an admin on almost 10,000 people, that's a lot of vigilance.
Yes.
And that you have to watch. And the more successful you are, the more you're going to have those Ray-Ban ads and people attacking the pages and the people, and you know, we've seen for ourselves people who are very talented who have been somehow gotten to.
Yes.
And
we've had friends that have been threatened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. You know, but we
shows you're on the right path.
yeah, and ultimately we know, actually via Andy, you know, because he is fully aware that their vindication is coming. You know, that the world will understand and realize that Mars is indeed inhabited. You know, and so that kind of gives me the impetus to keep on keeping on, you know, because I realize that, I understand that, and I believe it 100%. So I'm going to be steadfast in what I claim.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to back down from people. I mean, I've had people in different venues call me everything from a liar to I need to stay on my meds, make sure that you don't skip any of your meds, call the people with the straitjackets, you know, blah, blah, blah. And here we are, we're kind of on the fringe, so to speak, in a way, trying to get this information out there as far as photo analysts. And you got someone like Andrew DiBisciago, who he's exposing far more than we are.
He has a lot more to lose.
And a lot more to lose, and yet he is keeping on. He is not backing down one iota. And that gives me inspiration. You know, that really does. Gives me, how about you? Same thing. You know, I mean, if this man can do it, who has everything to lose, then why can't we do our small part? Right?
Exactly. And see, I guess where, to me, like NASA or whoever is building these things to go to Mars, every little step to me is going where it would prove Andy right. You know, every little step,
Absolutely.
even though it's going the old-fashioned way, going slow and not through interdimensional travel or time travel. You know, or jump gates. It's still working our way to there. And
well, you have to. You have to be methodical.
Well,
you know.
and I mean, they're not going in the position that he was privy to, and William Stillings and others with DARPA. But who knows? Who knows what they'll finally come out with or finally admit to.
Okay, so anyway, we really have enjoyed ourselves. We really are getting to know each other a lot better, and I guess half the time we're spending on Mars and looking at different images, and the other half we're just having fun together, you know, and that's what I think a conference, it needs to be that way. You know, Ross, let's key a little bit more in depth on what you think we really must do, or what turn of events that you think needs to happen to make this all come to. Now I realize, I mean, come to the, you know, public knowledge to. I mean, I realize you've said that you think it needs to be on mainstream media, but do you think there's anything else? Can we do more, or do you think we're doing enough?
We're doing the best we can right now. We need to go back and as technology grows and comes out with different technology, with the software that we use, the programs that we use. I use Corel. Some people use Photoshop, and some people use other
Picasso,
programs.
like I do.
Right, and Picasso 3. As the programs get better, more and more is coming out in past photos that we have viewed to show more detail of what we are trying to get across to everybody, of what we see on the planet Mars. It's not like what we're seeing as human beings or earthlings running around all over the place. Mars is different. Mars has different types of creatures.
It's a desert planet.
Different types of beings and animals that are just so amazing, and it's so exciting. Some look the same. I've seen things that look like elephants. I've seen horses, rabbits. I even found the grasshopper. But still, it's just so exciting. And the past structure that was there, or some of it could be present structure. It's just, it's everyday thing for me to see this, you know. But trying to convince somebody else is a little bit hard, you know.
I agree. So it's really, I guess what you're saying is really kind of hard to pinpoint what we've got to do next, except that you feel that maybe advancement in imaging technology,
Right.
that may kind of blow things apart, right? As far as exposing
With
it
better-
in a much
right.
better way,
With
much
better
imaging.
technology, it shows
Yes.
better images.
Well,
Not
we
blurry images like they do with. Nobody can find the Sasquatch because it's all blurry.
yes.
That's a different story,
But on the other hand, there is Homo Mardus Sasquatchus that is on the surface of Mars. You have found
I
some.
found that.
They seem to be gorilla-like creatures that are related to the Sasquatch. You know, so, and we talk about these things. We know they're facts, and yet many just don't buy it at all. As a matter of fact, they laugh at it. You know, and that's, I think we should identify too. And Andy he's been the one that to identify the humanoids on Mars. And I know we have all found examples of all of these.
Correct.
You know, so you have Homo Mardus terrace, which are the indigenous Martians. They're the ones that they have pointy ears, kind of more of a spindly type body, shorter, 4.5 feet tall, something like that. You know, and again, they're indigenous to Mars. And then you have Homo Mardus Mardus, who are there are ancestors or brothers or sisters. They look like us, basically. If they were walking down the street in an Armani suit, as I think Andy has said before, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know that they're from another planet. They look like us, you know. And then you have Homo Mardus extraterrestrialis, which is the example of that is the Hammerman that I have posted on Mars Anomaly Research Society and the Facebook site. And I've also put it on Mars Research and a number of other Facebook groups. And they resemble the gray ETs. And they basically look just like a mink. They're kind of a branch of the Greys that were left behind, so it seems. And then you have the Homomartis de minimis, which are the very tiny Martians. I mean, some 6 inches tall, some 12 inches tall, and some of them have actually been run over by the rover and killed. And it's I can't remember the person who actually originally found this, found an indication of this. But since then, I mean, you see humanoid heads kind of popping out like out of gopher holes. You've seen those before, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, and so they're all there. So these are all the main type of humanoids that are on Mars. And the thing is about trying to convince, in my mind, others of life on Mars, the deeper you go into it, the more bizarre it sounds, and the less they believe it. So you have a lot of the naysayers that don't believe a word you're saying, and they have done zero research.
They put NASA puts their rovers in areas that they think that they're not occupied with life, but they failed at that. They should put them in the forested areas or the areas that they know that there might have been ancient cities from a past Mars.
Sure.
But anything can happen.
That is, of course, that they, if they really wanted to expose the fact that Mars is inhabited, they would have done that. They would have put, there's I think Andy has described that there's a green area on Mars that is roughly the size of Texas. And you found trees on Mars. I found trees on Mars. There's the places that Andy visited, there were sparse in vegetation, because again it's a desert planet, but there was vegetation of sorts, And we know, getting back to the water that you have talked about, is that there is subsurface water. We've seen water shooting out from tubes.
Lakes.
Yeah, we've seen
Ice.
lakes, exactly, lakes, streams.
Yeah.
So it's there, Mars is coming back from utter devastation.
Yeah.
So, and the population that generally and mostly lives underground is beginning to come more and more to the surface. I mean, they want to enjoy the sun and the pleasure of being outdoors, I'm sure. So what do you think, Ross, first you, what do you think about us colonizing Mars? I mean, we have actually done it, and we have been there for decades. What do you think? Do you think it's been intrusive? Do you think we should have done that?
You mean, should we have gone to Mars?
Yeah, should we have gone to Mars
in
and
the way that they have
actually,
in the past?
Yes, and actually colonized it, and without asking the Martians?
No.
I would agree.
We have no right to invade other planets, just as we don't have any right to invade other countries here on Earth.
I would
Not
agree.
that we invade other countries here on Earth, we just kind of go in and help out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Patricia, what do you think?
Well, a lot talking about it as colonizing. I remember Andy talking about the 2 Martians that actually flew here. We don't really know what the agreements have been, but a lot of these government installations that are there are mining. I really think there's a lot of mining going on there with deals
It could
with
be.
mining, because of
could
what
be.
I have found.
Yeah, it could be.
And what did we offer? What did we exchange? What has been the deal? Did we just offer them a bunch of
Trinkets.
yeah, blankets and beads or typhoid blankets and
Shoes, clothing.
well, I
whatever.
mean, just right like now,
Food.
Curiosity, which by the way just celebrated its first year, Martian year, last Tuesday. so it's been there 1 year. But it's also a nuclear, giving off radiation. So that's people coming up to look at it. It's not really good for any kind of life that they're doing.
You know what? Excuse me, but
Mhm.
let's touch on the rovers. Why haven't the Martians just destroyed the rovers?
I think they did with the first one. That first one with that nice film, and
Okay.
there was a good picture, and then all of a sudden this and it's gone, and all those attempts by early Russian um, satellites to Phobos and everything else that would show something, and then the
They're
cameras
gone.
go off,
Right.
and did we somehow, is that when, before DARPA, was getting their things together and was able to make agreements?
Well, what about the fact that Viking 1, Viking 2, Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, and of course,
Mhm.
what's interesting about uh, Spirit and Opportunity is NASA would have been, so they say, very elated to get 90 days out of them, and of
Yeah.
course,
They're
it's
still trucking.
way. I think
Yeah.
it's 10 years. I
Yeah.
think Opportunity just had its 10th year
Yeah.
anniversary.
It just-
So why do you think that the Martians are allowing them to continue to rove?
That might be part of the agreement, you know. I mean, if where was it that, I mean, it was at Cape Canaveral, wasn't it, where the two Martians met with Andy and
No.
where was it?
No, I think that was Curtis Wright.
Airfield.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but so if they met with them, there might be some other agreements to just let us be, let us go around and try that.
Okay.
And another thing that Ross said about where they pick, why don't they pick somewhere that there's at least ancient structures, would be a great step for this world to, if they went to a place that was ancient structures, to at least let them get used to the idea more that there's, okay, now there's water, now there's atmosphere, now there's ancient structures. It's the next step.
Something
it would
like
have been.
something like saying that there was a past life on Mars.
It's a start. Yeah.
It's a start. There still
Yeah.
could be.
So
Just as life on Earth almost went extinct, something still survived.
right.
Yeah.
What do they say? I remember on one of the Jurassic Park movies, life finds a way.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as far as the rovers, what are your thoughts as far as why? I mean, do you think the same way, your line of thinking like Pat's, or as far as why they're allowed to continue to rove over the surface? Do you think there's been agreements?
There has to be something, otherwise I think, if I was on Mars and something came and invaded my planet, of course they're not really hurting anybody, other than
True.
occasionally running somebody over, and I've seen a few of those.
Well, what we do if a rover landed on planet Earth, what would we do?
Well, if we didn't let the government get it, we'd probably bring it home, put it in the garage, and play with it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
And maybe that's what happened to those
Huh?
the first ones that landed, that we got one good shot before that gray shadowy figure came and whacked it. And maybe that's sitting, maybe they reverse engineered it, took it.
So, and I'm
You
sorry, I know everyone has heard your response, but so I can kind of respond to it. So what are you saying about the rovers? I mean, as far as if one landed here?
If one landed here, myself, I would be interested in it, and being curious myself, I would probably hide it in the garage.
Sure. So this opens up like, it makes you really think about what's going on and the whys and the wherefores. So I just find the whole thing. I mean, there's lots of questions we have some answers. You know, I mean, we know basically, bottom line, that Mars is inhabited, and we won't let anyone tell us different. You know, because we're fully aware of it.
No, wait a minute. No, I do what the U.S. government says that I would do. I would run amok in the street screaming. Give me a break.
I
Give me
know,
a
like
break.
the whole War of the
Yeah,
World
right,
scenario,
right,
right?
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that our general population is smart. They're intelligent, and they can, in fact, handle the truth that Mars is an inhabited planet. Not only that, but they can handle any truth that comes along. Yeah, they may be, their jaw may drop to the floor, but if it becomes common knowledge and they must accept it, it's not going to hurt them.
I
It's
mean,
not going to
you
bother
haven't
them.
heard people screaming in the streets because there's all these possible Goldilocks zone planets that are
Of course.
have,
And look what
they're
Similar to
act-
Earth.
yeah, yeah,
And look what Andy has revealed.
yeah,
Has anyone been going crazy?
no.
No, they have not. You know, so all right, let's. I think maybe we should kind of bring this to a wrap. Do you have any final comments, Patricia, regarding Mars and the future of Mars research?
Um, Actually, my mind's going to him with fooling around with the little rover in his yard. I'm
Bring it in
picturing
his garage.
putting little, following it and putting little bitty little statues and stuff and pictures to just really screw them over and sprinkle stuff in the samples. I don't know. My mind just went to that on doing all sorts of weird stuff like that. But that's what I was thinking of. No, I think we're in a better place than we were last year at this time.
Okay. And do you think the future looks
everything
bright?
was
Future looks
I
bright?
think the future looks bright, and
Do you think it looks bright in general?
yeah, and for exploration of all types.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and do you think that the worldwide acceptance that Mars is inhabited is in our relatively near future?
Oh, I definitely hope so.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
And Ross, what do you think? Do
You know,
think
you,
that that's
you think of the general population. You have people that live in far reaches of Africa, or people that live in the desert and all they have is tents and camels, or people on little islands that have
Sure.
no. But if I don't know what would be called the common man that lives in cities and has communications and contacts.
right?
Uh,
That's
they
who
should-
I'm really
they-
talking about.
They they should be informed that there could be life elsewhere.
Sure.
I strongly believe that there's life on Mars. There's life on the Moon. In the mid-50s, I had a UFO fly over my head. I believe in UFOs. And I'm one of the crazy people that goes out by myself in a forest looking for a 10-foot tall creature that's all hairy and stronger than a gorilla. And I go by myself. Why do I go? I believe it's there. I know it's there. But I don't fear it. A lot of people might fear that if life is found on Mars, that we're going to be invaded by Martians. But I don't really think the average creature or the average humanoid living on the planet Mars has the expertise to build a rocket, let alone know what one looks like other than the rovers that are roaming around running them over.
Okay. I think what I have to do is take another side of what you just said, because I think that in fact the Martians, maybe not all of them, but generally they are more advanced than us. That's my thoughts, because Andy observed them leaving on a teardrop craft from Curtis Wright traveling at around 7,000 miles an hour, and this was back in the 70s, in the early 70s. You know, so technologically they may be far more advanced, and if I can continue, I think that they have a full knowledge that Earth is a planet that is fully inhabited, and more likely than not, they're fully aware of the inhabitation of the solar system in general.
Maybe unlike us, they have learned that war is not the way to go.
I would agree with that. I would
Unlike
agree.
us, where we have countries that attack other countries for no good reason at all.
Right. Okay.
The intelligent beings on Mars know that invading another planet is not the way to go.
Okay. Okay. So to a certain degree, I mean, we're in agreement.
Correct.
To a certain degree.
It's the images that I see of engineering creatures on Mars.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
I mean,
I
I've seen
understand.
plenty of structure from the past and the present
I understand.
that is hard to explain, but I'm just gonna keep on plugging along with my images and just go from there.
Well, you know, what more can we do? You know, you just. I mean, what I see is that there's been a lot of good work in the past as far as the work we have done as anomalists, you know, and looking into life on Mars, the moon, etc. You know, and I have kind of always known that there's life that inhabits our universe. I've always kind of known that, you know, without even having it told to me, you know. And then I became very interested in reading all about that, and came to understand that, in fact, my feeling and understanding was correct, you know. And I think that what we have done up to this point has been all good. I think we've all done our best to get the information out there, and I think that the future holds really great things, and it really does make me want to smile. You know, I really think that future generations are going to be spacefaring. I mean, we already
We
have.
have to be.
Yes, it's
really do.
going to happen, you know, and also I think there must be an acceptance, you know, of all of us humans that live on this planet. We must accept each other. We must be able to accept each other regardless of our race, color, or creed, you know, and because if we can't, how can we accept an alien being that looks different than us, that maybe has blue skin?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so and I think this is why the general population of the universe has kind of, except for a covert visitation, they have not shown themselves, you know, except to certain circles, you know, because they're like, look what this human population
can
is
do to
doing,
you, yeah.
you know, and look what they're doing to each other, you know. So, but even with that said, I think that our future is bright, as you both have pretty much concurred.
Mars is alive.
Yes, exactly. As you always say, and I must wholeheartedly agree. You know, so anyway, I guess we'll conclude this. It is our third annual Mars Southeastern Conference, and I intend next year to possibly, hopefully, make it a much larger event. And I think that the possibility that will come to be is very good, because I think a lot more of the truth is going to be exposed to a lot more people, because the facts are already out there regarding the inhabitation of Mars. It's been out there for years now, and it began in earnest with the landmark paper, The Discovery of Life on Mars, penned by Andrew DiBisciago on 12/12/08. So that kind of began the major push to expose the truth. And I believe that it is going to continue to get more and more exposure, and more people will come aboard and understand that this is a fact. Guys, thank you very much.
And thank you for being a very good host
You're
to us
welcome.
again for
We
the
had-
third.
Thank you,
Oh,
Pat.
thank you. Thank
We
you.
had a great time.
And we
and since-
still are. We got some more time.
Yes, and we're running
Okay.
everything, so the ending is going to be me getting up and stopping the recording.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.
See you on Mars.